After plenty of drama in the group stages of the AFF Mitsubishi Electric Cup, we have arrived at the double-legged semi-final stage. And one of the favourites for this tournament, Vietnam, well, they are up against the Garuda, Indonesia, in the first of the semi-finals. I've done a lot of stuff on this tournament that's just been my lonesome. Ryan, it's great to have you back with me. How you doing?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. You have, mate. You've been soloing the AFF Championship across the tournament so far with a couple of nice-looking live streams, and it's good to be back with you and to be talking about a couple of. We're going to do two videos, one on each semi-final. But first, this first delicious-looking semi-final. I was going to. Sorry, we can keep this in. I'll chop it. I was going to say a delicious-looking semi. I'm going to call it a delicious-looking semi. Anyway, let's keep going. Vietnam take on the Garuda, as you've said, in the first of these two semi-finals. Vietnam, who I think we predicted would top Group B, and they have done. Indonesia, that I'm pretty sure you predicted that they would come runners-up in Group A, which they have done, and they now meet across the 6th and 9th of January, with the first game on the 6th taking place in Indonesia. Correct me if I'm wrong. Indonesia played 4 in the groups, won 3, drew 1, lost zilch, and Vietnam had an identical record in Group B. 3 wins, 1 draw. Now, mate, you have been, of the two of us, you've been the one that's been far more keeping your finger on the pulse of the tournament. How do you see this one going? Talk me through your thoughts for Thai, and then I'm going to hop in and sort of add my own zesty opinion as and when. I think it's best, though, if you just crack on and give your opinion.
I will do the best that I can. Well, I hate to be that guy, but I did completely predict this tournament up to this stage with Thailand and Vietnam being the group winners and Indonesia and Malaysia coming through second. Although, to sort of tone back my own self-loving, firstly there's a good-looking semi and now there's self-loving going on.
Great. Good start, mate. It's good to get back on a video with you, mate.
It's great to get back. I don't think it's overly difficult to predict Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam. I think the only one where we weren't sure was whether it was going to be Malaysia or Singapore, and it turned out to quite comfortably be Malaysia. So this semi-final was kind of predictable. I think a lot of people would have seen this one coming. Indonesia are pretty good in this tournament. Obviously, they haven't won it before, but they'd love to get to a semi-final and also finals as well. Vietnam, as I said in the whole tournament preview, no excuses for them not to win it, really. They are probably the strongest side by quite a way. They're not kind of seasoned winners in the same way that Thailand are in this tournament, but they're still extremely good, and obviously got to the latter stages, should I say, of AFC World Cup qualifiers, which is a real measure of teams in this region. And I think a lot of people, a lot of fans from this region would say, oh yeah, this Vietnam team, they are the best ASEAN side at the moment. But they come up against Indonesia, and I don't know, it's a tricky one. I do think that Vietnam won't mind being away from home first.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
I think that, you know, and it's probably similar, we'll get onto the other semi-final as well. You'd have to say the fact that the two group winners are home in their second game probably gives them the slight advantage, because Indonesia will essentially have to win the first leg to feel confident going away to Vietnam and trying to pick up a draw, say. I think that you'd have to say both managers are very, very good. Very, very good managers. And what Shin Tae-yong's been able to do through the ranks at Indonesia has been really impressive. And I don't think that this one's a full-gone conclusion, but I do think that a lot of it hinges on that first leg. I think that the way that Indonesia play, they've got pace on the attack, they've got good wing-backs, they're quite versatile with the system that they play. They've also got, you know, good quality defenders now coming through at the back as well, with players like Jordi and Matt as well. It's whether or not they can stop the free-flowing Vietnam side from breaking them down at home. If Indonesia go into the second game with an advantage, I think they can do enough to draw and potentially cause an upset. But I think it all really hangs on this game on the 6th.
And how do you how do you see Indonesia approaching that first game from a tactical perspective? Do you think that they will adopt? Well, do you think they'll have the same mindset as you basically had there, in the sense of we need to get something from this game to tee us up or to give us the best chance of reaching the final, or do you think they will be more cautious in this home leg and almost think let's keep ourselves in this tie for the second leg? What do you think? What would be your kind of guess as to how you think they're going to approach it?
I tell you what, it's really tough to predict from an Indonesia
Mm,
perspective how they're going to set up. Vietnam, I think we pretty much know they're just going to go more of the same. They'll probably just, did Vietnam have a slight advantage because they had a more consistently challenging group, with the fact that Vietnam have already played against Singapore and Malaysia, whereas
true.
Indonesia have only really faced Thailand. That's a real contest for them at the
Yeah,
moment.
that's a good point. I'd not thought about that.
Vietnam's only time they dropped points was in that game against Singapore. They played extremely well in every other game. Indonesia, they've only faced Thailand that are any in this tournament. No disrespect to sides like the Philippines or even Cambodia, but they've not
Yeah,
really faced that much quality, and so
yeah,
it's going to be so tough to sit here and predict this is how I think Indonesia will set up, because we haven't
mm,
seen them have to prep for a group
yeah,
game. And also, don't forget the group games single-legged. So the whole context of a
yeah.
double-legged game is completely different. I think if Indonesia sit back and go, let's just hang in till the second leg, they'll get punished. And I think Shin
Mm,
Tae-yong will know that if they fly out the traps and really try and shock Vietnam, try and go 1-0 up. Let's not forget that whilst they've only played Thailand in this tournament, they've also played good sides like Curaçao in not too distant past, and they did
mm,
well in those games. They know how to play against stronger sides. We just see them more often against some of the sides slightly worse than them. I think that they'll try and go for. I think they'll try and go for goals, and I think that they will try and win this first game. I don't think, to me, in my own mind, it doesn't make sense to try and hang on for a draw in the first leg. I
no.
think if they go into the second leg losing to Vietnam, on paper, there's just no way they can get it back.
Mm,
There's just no way. So, essentially, the more Indonesia have to attack, I think the worse it will be for them. And I think if they just play a balanced home game but really try and get that advantage, I think Vietnam actually will probably pay them quite a high level of respect in this first leg,
mm.
and probably go a little bit more cautious because they know they can hang on even a 1-0 defeat. They'll
They've got that.
fancy themselves.
They've got that home leg in
That's,
to come, haven't they?
yeah, that
Just,
safety blanket.
yeah, yeah. I'll ask you a couple of quick fire questions on this because we want to take some time and preview the other semi-final this evening. How would you score both sides' performances at the AFF so far out of 10? And then what would be your two predictions across the two semi-final legs, mate?
I'd say for Vietnam, you can't say anything less than a sort of 9 out of 10. It's been cruise control for them a little bit, which is probably their only susceptibility going into these semi-finals. Indonesia, I'd actually say, despite the fact they got out and it was quite comfy, and of course they were level on points with Thailand, I'd
Hmm.
actually say only sort of an 8 out of 10. My reasoning for that is, despite good performances, Indonesia fans will know their clinicality has been simply atrocious. They've had so many chances, easy
Mm,
chances.
yeah.
Despite they play excellent football. I really like watching Indonesia. They're not scoring enough goals, which sounds crazy because they have scored plenty of goals. They've had so many chances to score even more. And if
Yeah.
they're not clinical in these semi-finals, they're going to go out.
Mm.
I'm going to predict Indonesia 2-1 win in the first leg.
Oh, didn't see that coming. Didn't see that coming. Go on.
And then
And
I'm
then,
going to predict a Vietnam 2-0 win in the second leg.
really?
But
Okay.
I'm not really sure because I do think,
I'm
as
going to
much as
caveat it
as
with the
much as
fact that I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah, basically that's my prediction. But it's more I want some interesting, entertaining games prediction rather than yes, I know what I'm talking about here. Because
Mm.
I do credit Shin Tae-yong in particular with the fact that he's a very, very good coach. And if they're 2-1 up going into the second leg, will they let it go and let a sort of that lead go? But Vietnam, they just have so much quality. I don't know. I tell you what, those are my predictions. But I'm just saying, as long as it's a good double-legged semi-final, I don't really care.
Nice, mate. Nice. I I was going to predict slightly differently, mate.
Go
I was
for
going to
it.
predict slightly differently. I think Vietnam will go away to Indonesia and get the result,
Mm.
the result they need. I think they'll win 1-0 or 2-1. And I think the second leg will be a very, very close affair with Indonesia having to go for it a bit more, but I see it being a draw, a 1-1
Okay.
or a Desmond in the second leg. I think Vietnam will edge it and get through to the final. However, as you said, mate, I want to see some cracking games here.
Yeah.
I quite like the double-legged semi-final side of it,
Mm.
and be interesting to see the approaches from both sides and who makes it to the final.
That's the main thing, and ultimately, although we're predicting completely different ways for them to get there, it looks like we're both saying the Garuda are going to go out and that Vietnam are going to make it through to the final.
Yeah, in line with our preview, which I'm sure you
Yeah.
can probably watch. You can probably watch if you haven't there.
Here, I think.
Very nice, mate. Very nice.
That is all from us this time on D&Q. We won't be doing watch-alongs for the semi-finals. We will be back for the final. But if you've enjoyed this preview, then don't forget to like the video, subscribe whilst you are here, and comment your predictions for these double-legged semi-finals. We'll see you next time.